Good morning. My name's Ed Scott, and I'm pleased to be your worship associate for this morning. And on behalf of First Unitarian Universalist Church of Wilmington, Delaware, I welcome you to our online worship service. Now, as an assist for visual accessibility, I'm 6'1", bald, wearing a dark suit, a light blue shirt, and a coordinating tie. And as needed, such as this morning, I wear reading glasses. If you're visiting, I encourage you to visit our website at firstuuwilm.org. And also, if you're seated near one of the pew racks, you can fill out an information card. It doesn't require you to create an account or download an app. Everyone's welcome in this community, regardless of your origin, how you identify, who you love. Know that you are welcome here. And now let us give a welcome to those who are joining us online by turning to the camera on your left and waving to them and greeting them. And after you've done so, please stand and greet those around you. This morning, Reverend Larry is going to speak about creating a brave space to deepen our search for truth, as well as a courageous space as we live out our Unitarian Universalist values. And now, let us prepare our whole selves for worship together this morning.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Larry Pierce, the minister here at the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. Glad to see you here today, a day that we began with a joyful prelude. So I was asking myself, how is that prelude like joy? Well, other than Tracy's exuberant playing, joy fills the room. Joy reminds us of its presence even as it seems to be subsiding. And joy is something to receive as a gift. So in our gathering today, may we find moments of joy in a world that sometimes feels torn apart and troubled. I'll take molecules of joy wherever I can find them. Why don't you reach for those molecules with me for a moment? For visual accessibility, I am 6 feet tall, gray hair, glasses, black minister's robe, and a brown and gold stole. Our call to worship this morning is entitled Not Alone, and I've adapted it from Reverend David Schwartz. You could choose to do this spiritual journey alone. But why would you do that when we have a community to do it with together? Together, we can make harmony. Together, we can make a harmony that takes more than just one voice, each singing their own line. Together, we can create community to travel together into an unknown and unknowable future so that you do not have to do it on your own. Together, we can show you how to grow old and to keep young. We have a living tradition as Unitarian Universalists, a centuries-long project of memory and of hope, centuries of ancestors who we can look back to as we make our way forward. This is the invitation. No hidden wisdom, no power or privilege, no guilt or shame to control you, no escape from the beautiful and difficult reality of being alive and having to die. Only this, a community gathered to be who we are and to become who we are called to be. So let us join together in this time of celebration.
Here are these words which I have adapted from the writing of Reverend Scott Taylor. As we light the chalice, focus on the flame and the warmth of commitment. Let go of those worries that push you into the future. Let go of regrets that pull you into the past. Let go of your judgments that focus on what's missing rather than what's being offered. Let go so you can find the space to be here, to embrace the sweetness of community that wants to lure you and love you.
So rise in body or spirit as we sing together hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit. The words will also appear on the screen.
One
So this morning, we are particularly excited about officially welcoming the newest members of the First Unitarian Church of Wilmington. Joining me in this official welcome is Dan Chicalo, a parent of 2 of our CYRE children. Catherine Williamson, our Director of Children and Youth Religious Exploration, is homesick today. And Carrie, one of our co-presidents, was going to be with us, but Cindy Cohen has agreed to fill in. It's amazing how many experiences I have each day about being flexible and resilient and whatever. So, and then Marilyn Height of our membership team will also be momentarily calling the names of our new members. When she does so, please come forward and please join us in the reception, all of you, to honor our new members following today's service. In the days ahead, please take some time to connect with our new members and to find ways to connect them to the life, the programs, and the ministry of this congregation. As each name is called, I've asked Nancy if she could come up and place a flower in the vase to honor each person that's joining us together in this community. We want to honor the roots of this congregation, which was founded in 1866 by an intrepid group of people who wanted to bring the message of a liberal approach to Christianity and a Unitarian congregation to this area. Over the years, as you know, the perspectives of this congregation have broadened into a congregation that draws from the sources of many religions, literary, artistic, and scientific perspectives. Yet we are connected to the courage and to the vision of our ancestors, and to all of the lay and clergy leaders who have served us over the years. May we endeavor to embody our guiding Unitarian Universalist principles. May we live them out so that they become practices that transform our lives and transform our society. Today, we as a congregation are united in our common work within this congregation and within the wider community. We affirm this common commitment in this affirmation, which we recite each Sunday.
Please join me together as we recite our mission for this church. First Unitarian Church of Wilmington is a beloved community that nourishes minds and spirits, fights injustice, and transforms the world through loving action.
Good morning. My name is Marilyn Height. On behalf of the membership and welcome table team, it's my honor to call folks forward. As your name is read, please come forward if you're comfortable. If not, that's okay too. Our first new member is Rob Nichols. Christy Nichols, please stay up, Rob. We're directing as we go along. Jen Mensch. Looking to see if Jen's coming. Stephen Zelinsky, who did ask me specifically to point out it is indeed the name of the Ukrainian president. Lisa Jennings. And Willow Scott Spazek. Unfortunately, Willow is not ill. Willow is ill today.
Okay, welcome to each of you. And today we invite you into this beloved community to enrich us with your experiences and your perspectives and your gifts. Each of you enrich us as these flowers in this vase add to the beauty of this moment. You also add to the beauty of what this congregation is. and will become. The vase of flowers, the vase of flowers symbolizes each of you. And what so I welcome you. Sorry, I had that memorized. I didn't realize. Okay, so here we are.
I want to acknowledge those among our new members who are also parents, who as a family are joining our congregation. We would like to support you in your role as the resident religious educators in your home. May you, your children, and youth find a home here to grow your souls and deepen your connection to our faith community, as my family certainly has.
And I thought Ollie was going to be here today. He's downstairs. So Ollie wore his boots last Sunday, and I told him, I'm going to wear my boots to church some Sunday, and so I wore them especially for him. Okay, great. So the boot brigade is here.
As the representative of our Board of Trustees here at First Unitarian Church, I want to say, may the members of First Unitarian now stand as you're willing and able, and join me by offering the welcoming words that hopefully we will find on the screen momentarily. There we go. We welcome you as we once welcomed ourselves. We seek to be open and inclusive, respecting your inherent dignity, your ideas and your visions, in times when it is easy and times when it is difficult. We seek to be supportive, not only to when you reach out in courage to us, but also when you need us to reach out to you. We welcome you as an equal member of this congregation, of this faith, and of our shared spiritual journey. Thanks.
We're doing the script as we go along.
I'll go this way. Okay, so congregation, please join in singing our hymn number 402 along with the choir. From you I receive. The words will appear on the screen. This is our song to you as our newest members. So we join now in a time of prayerful meditation. As we begin, I want to acknowledge that one of our dear choir members, Jan Shea, lost her mother this weekend, Anna Mae Kennedy. So I'd like to light this candle in memory of Jan's mother, who was relentless and shined forth in her life for a long time, touching the life of others and hanging in to the very end as best she could. She often attended services online, watching with Jan. So not many of us have met her, unless you were here for the occasional Christmas Eve service where she'd be decked out in a fake fur coat, I'm sure. So let this light and the light that was Anna Mae Kennedy shine in our hearts as we surround Jan with our love and our care. So, as we gather in this time of prayerful meditation, I often ask you to pay attention to whatever you are holding in your heart this day. But today, instead, what I'd like to ask us to do is to speak to our heart. Take a moment, you don't have to do it out loud, but take a moment and speak to your own heart. Tell your heart what it is you want your heart to know right now. And let's do that together in this silence for a moment. May our hearts be open to what it is we have to say. May our hearts feel nourished and supported. May our hearts feel challenged and motivated. May we be available to the wisdom of our heart. May we find guidance from our heart. Now turn your attention to the area of your heart, the middle of your chest, and breathe in and out from that area slowly, more slowly and thoughtfully than usual. Breathing in and breathing out from the area of your heart. Leaving behind for just a minute or so all the chatter in our minds and being present with the breath as it moves within and out our heart. Let us hold the quality of gratitude in our heart today. A gratitude that is not necessarily contingent on whatever might be happening in this moment, but a gratitude that is available to us when we make ourselves available to it. So as we continue to breathe in and out from the area of our heart, let's allow ourselves to actually experience the quality of gratitude. You may think about things that you're grateful for, or you may just stay with that quality of gratitude itself. And from this place of stillness, a place where gratitude is possible in spite of whatever is going on, let's also name aloud in this room, in a very brief way, any hope that we have for our own life or for the life of our world. So, what is a hope that you have? And you can speak it aloud in this room. May our individual heart receive this hope. May our collective hearts be available to hope as we now join in our musical meditation.
Hold my hope, 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 my hope. Hold my hope, my hope, 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 hold my hope, my hope.
Our reading this morning is an untitled poem by Beth Strano. There's no such thing as a safe place. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars and have caused wounds. But this space seeks to turn down the volume of the outside world and amplify voices that have to fight to be heard elsewhere. This space will not be perfect. It will not always be what we wish it to be, but it will be our space together, and we'll work on it side by side.
There are two stories that we can tell about Unitarian Universalism. Both stories are important. Both are related to one another. In fact, we can't really tell one story without the other. The first story I am going to call All About Me story. It is the story that we often focus on, sometimes exclusively. It tells about how it is that we individually found Unitarian Universalism, how we ended up in a Unitarian Universalist congregation. And for those of us not raised or as a young person in Unitarian Universalism, it's often the story of how we got liberated from beliefs or ways of being religious that no longer seemed to fit our perspectives or our ever-growing soul. Or increasingly, among contemporary generations, it is the story of how we had no religious background at all and then discovered that being part of a congregation that gave us individual freedom to compose a personally meaningful faith was something that nourished us in ways we may not have even imagined. We are not overcoming something from the past. We are discovering something in the present in that case. There is some beauty in this story of our individual journeys. Those of us who have felt harmed by the religion of our upbringing because of our gender, our sexual identity, our differing beliefs, our relentless intellectual curiosity, can often feel a sense of transformation when we find a sanctuary that really aims to be a house for all people in more than words only. Some of us discover over time that we have a hybrid Unitarian Universalist faith that blends the freedom, the values-centered, this world-centered perspective of Unitarian Universalism with another one of our sources of our living tradition, such as Christian or Jewish, Muslim, pagan, mystical, agnostic, or religious naturalism, to just name a few. This approach among us puts a particular accent on how we are nourished within a religious community that values pluralism as one of its central values. I often tell newcomers about my specific journey to Unitarian Universalism as an intellectually curious 17-year-old who came to question some of the orthodox views of Jesus and God I had inherited from my religious upbringing as an Italian, Irish, Roman Catholic. I didn't set out to disprove anything. I sought an integrity of mind and heart that was available, that I would not have been able to fully describe to you at the time. I read what was available at the time about the historical Jesus, the pre-dogmatic phase of Christianity before it became a partner with the empire. As someone who was raised Roman Catholic, I needed to work this through for myself, since this was the curriculum hidden from my previous religious education in Catholic schools. Fortunately, the first UU congregation I arrived in as a 17-year-old had a wonderful library and a volunteer librarian, Jane Smiley, is really her name, who graciously received my theological and historical questions, would prescribe books for me, and scheduled conversations with me. She allowed me to question, to discover, and over time to reimagine what my faith could be. Today, there are thousands of younger and older people who are leaving their evangelical backgrounds and engaging in a deliberate process of understanding the historical roots of Christianity and re-examining some of the fundamental beliefs that they were taught about God, Jesus, heaven, and hell. These folks will tell you that they are deconstructing their faith. There's a lot more support for this than there was for me during my explorations. Yet, although we often tell one another our origin story, how we came to a Unitarian Universalist congregation, our individual journey does not conclude once we've walked through the door or joined a Unitarian Universalist congregation. It's not like we are confirmed in our faith and it's a one and done experience. In some faith communities, they talk about being born again. And for us, as Unitarian Universalists, if we live up to our Unitarian Universalist ideas, we are born again, and born again throughout our life. Yet this is the point that I really want to emphasize. This ongoing growth and development of our spiritual life is not an automatic process. It is not as if we set a timer and when the timer rings, we're done. No, my friends, to be true to our heritage and to our legacy as Unitarian Universalists, it is more like a timed release formula. We keep discovering along the way who we are and how we embody our perspective. Our spiritual life, our religious perspectives, in other words, require consistent tending, attentiveness, and intentionality. Otherwise, we can atrophy. Our spirits can atrophy. We all know that in order to stay vibrant and engage with life, we need to be attentive to the depths of ourself. We need to be attentive to our relationships with the world around us, our relationships and the subtle but persistent urgings of the heart, of the spirit, that allow our lives to unfold in ways that we might never have imagined. The conversation I had with Jane Smiley as an adolescent on the surface may have appeared to have been only an intellectual one, since we focused on the critical review of the history of Christianity and the Bible, and I've just looked back on it and realized how earnest I was. And it was, in many ways, my equivalent of what I talked about earlier, the deconstructing of what I had been taught in order to find what it was I could, with integrity, believe. It may have appeared to her that this was merely an intellectual exchange with a shy, it was true, too earnest for his age, adolescent. However, underlying the intellectual journey on the surface, there was something deeper. Of course, as someone who had lost his mother when I was 16, I was propelled as much by emotion as I was by intellect. I was seeking some new ground to stand upon in order to navigate the uncertainty of the life before me. This didn't enter into my conversations with Jane Smiley. Also, I was someone who had from childhood what we could describe as mystical experiences, what today is often referred to as transcendent experiences in everyday life, mostly related to nature, not necessarily to religious concepts. I had also experienced a number of synchronicities that carried my inner life forward in ways that I could not have planned deliberately. Know what I'm talking about? So none of these made for easy conversation with the volunteer church librarian, but I was in conversation with these in my own self. When I have traveled this country and met with Unitarian Universalists, or when I've served as a minister in a single congregation, I've had the opportunity for more sustained and intimate conversations with Unitarian Universalists about their actual faith journey. It is not only about intellectual doubt. I have discovered that many contemporary Unitarian Universalists also have this peculiar combination of the mystical, the transcendent, even without God language, a striving for integrity, a commitment to social justice, and it all sort of is together in the same protein shake like I have every morning. It's somehow in the mix. It is a journey of both the mind and the heart. It's much more complicated than some of the usual tropes we use to describe ourselves. A journey of discarding some former religious beliefs, for sure, and also discovering some new grounding that often doesn't fit into the convenient labels that we use as shorthand to convey to one another what may be more complicated to actually talk about. As the trend in the world of science has broadened, as we've opened up to a more inclusive language about the, quote, spiritual, what was once considered only woo-woo, is recognized as quite ordinary to the human experience. I have discussed in previous sermons some of this contemporary research in David Bryce Yaden and Andrew Newberg books, The Variety of Spiritual Experience, a 21st Century Research and Perspectives. They combine current neuroscience and psychological research together with intensely personal descriptions of spiritual experience. In truth, the one story we tell, what I'm calling our all about me story, is usually a lot more complicated, nuanced, and peculiar than we often tell one another. It's not a narrative that is a straight line, a journey from point A to point B. Instead, it is more like walking a labyrinth. Our real journey is more like a meandering path of a labyrinth. It may seem at times that we're going in circles. It may seem at times that we are lost. It may seem like we've turned a new corner. It may seem like sometimes the way closes before us, and sometimes it opens. Ren Wright describes the experience of walking a labyrinth this way. The labyrinth puts us in touch with our intuitive selves, our souls, the light, whatever words you use to describe the inner compass deep within ourselves that we often ignore, is faint or that we don't hear at all. It is the place where the visible and the invisible worlds meet. Likewise, to truly describe our all about me story, we have to include all the various parts of ourselves, which often includes the many faceted dimensions of ourselves, often includes these twists and turns and an ongoing unfolding of who we were, who we are, and who we will become. Unitarian Universalist congregations, at their best, create and provide brave and courageous spaces where this unfolding can occur. Now, this leads me to the second story we can tell about Unitarian Universalism. Could tell some of you were on the edge of your seat wondering what the second story would be. It is the story about us rather than merely an individual journey. It is the story about who we have been and are as a community, but it's also a story about who we will become in the face of the extraordinary challenges of a polycrisis period in our world and planet. The scholar of human development, Ken Wilber, in his recent book entitled Finding Radical Wholeness, provides an analysis, I think, of the world that we're in that is not merely about our individual self. He describes our current predicament in this way, and I will quote, and although today's world, by almost any standard, is in some places very religious, it's almost never very spiritual. This lack of wholeness, this lack of spirit is why today's world has such a hard time making room for everything. In some cases, making room for anything. You might feel this way about your own life, he writes. Today's world is cramped, crowded, clawing, claustrophobic. I love that alliteration. I often use it myself. Let's repeat this after me. Today's world is cramped, crowded, clawing, and claustrophobic. Make sense to you? Feels right, okay. Everything is smashed, he says, into everything else, and people everywhere are elbowing each other, trying to find more space for their own opinions or views and ideas. Social media are especially cramped with people in each other's faces in the loudest, nastiest, most virulent fashion possible. Making room for everything is exactly what people today have the most difficult time doing. In my opinion, our All About Me story of Unitarian Universalism is sacred, it's poignant, and I'm honored to hear about anyone's individual journey, recognizing that there are often depths there, and there's often a labyrinthine path that we are all still on. However, given Wilber's astute and challenging description of our current predicament as a world, we don't only need another space for elbowing each other, trying to find more space for our own opinions, views, and ideas. We need to recognize that we are limited as a relevant religious movement if we are constrained by the individualist storyline only. Do you hear what I'm saying? In fact, do you really hear what I'm saying? Good, I need a little more energy. In fact, the challenges that our world faces requires us to be thinking about our story about me and to also include how and what kind of space we are creating together in this current elbowing and competing culture that we are in. I would call this second story the we story. Since it focuses our attention not on just our individual story, but also our collective story to create what I will call brave and generous spaces in the words of the poem or the reading that Ed did earlier. By creating those spaces where we, in the words of Ken Wilber, can make room for everything. Now, to take our own collective journey toward our we story will require that we put down, but not discard what Dan Siegel, an interpersonal neuropsychologist, calls the delusion of our separate self. Siegel is more forthright that this separate self is a lethal life, he says, that contributes to the global challenges like polarization and environmental destruction. In fact, his work makes the point that all through our lives, we are intra-connected, both a me and a we. Some Buddhists have referred to this as interbeing. Unitarian Universalists have referred to this as the interconnected web of all existence. Scientists and mystics, poets and artists, children and elders, people from all religions and no religion at all have sensed and known this across all cultures and times. Our development is not an individual journey alone. We are shaped and formed, and we develop through our relationships to one another and not just by our own individual determination. Sometimes our we story is implicit in our all about me story. For example, when I tell the story of my own individual story as a 17-year-old arriving in a Unitarian Universalist congregation It's important that I also emphasize the presence of someone like Jane Smiley, who was there to receive me. And all of my awkward questions, earnestness, and diligence. If it was not for her presence, attunement, and resonating with who I was at the time, I don't know that I would have had enough trust to connect with Unitarian Universalism. That connection happened through her embodiment of those qualities. So at our best as Unitarian Universalists and as a community, these qualities are important. And you can remember them through this word path, P-A-T-H, because they will be on the exam. P for presence, embodying presence with one another, having an open mind and a compassionate heart and a generous spirit. Presence. Beyond all the words we might use to define ourselves, if we can show up with presence and embody that, it speaks volumes and conveys more than we could ever say with words alone. Attunement, the A in the word path. Focusing on the other's inner landscape, empathizing rather than just with their feelings, their inner work, not just their thoughts. Attuning to one another requires a little slower process of interacting, of listening a little more deeply to what it is that we sense about the other's inner life. Resonance. Allow ourselves to be impacted by the other's experience so that we have a tangible experience of what is being, what it means to be in each other's presence. And then finally, trust. Presence, attunement, resonance leads to trust. Part. Checking your spelling. So what is important is that we need just as much to tell our we story as we tell our me story. How we are striving to create and build a courageous space in a world where, as Wilbur says, people everywhere are elbowing each other, trying to find more space for their own opinions and views and ideas. Our All About Me and our we story acknowledge that our lopsided emphasis on individualism needs some course corrections in this moment that we're in. The problems that we are facing are to require more than just what we can do as individuals. It requires us to find that connection with one another in order to together and collectively address what we face. So it would be inaccurate if we represented our faith as an individual journey that had a definitive end. We need to think that when we join a Unitarian Universalist congregation, that we are indeed stepping into a labyrinth. We need to recognize that the we story that we tell about Unitarian Universalism is about our own intradependence, about how in a world so divided, so polarized, so filled with separating rather than joining together, that we are called to be more than just one more collection of individuals. As a congregation, we need to be an island of sanity that embodies presence, attunement, resonance, and trust. As Ed said in the reading, there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars and have caused wounds. This space, seeks to turn down the volume of the world outside and amplify the voices that have to fight to be heard elsewhere. This space will not be perfect, but this space that we create will be what we have to offer the world. So may it be.
You this morning. But before I do, it's a story that has a conundrum and also has somewhat of a happy ending. But first, I have a request that some of you are a little quicker on the uptake than I am, and if you figure out the answer to the conundrum before I get to the end of the story, just keep it to yourself. Don't be a spoiler. A few weeks ago, Reverend Larry's sermon was about paying attention. And as I sat in the congregation listening to this, I thought, I know my mind tends to wander at times, and I don't always stick with things. But in fact, this Sunday, I was seated a little closer than I normally do. I was right behind Jim Davis. And you ought to try that sometime, sitting someplace new. It's a very interesting experience. But as Pat Malarkey, our worship associate, was leading us through the different ways to give during the stewardship moment, I thought, I really need to pay attention, because that screen that's displayed each Sunday of the various ways to give, I've seen it displayed dozens of times, and I really don't pay that much attention to it. So I will take the opportunity to read the whole thing, because as a worship associate, you want to make sure that the things we're presenting make sense to newcomers as well as those of us who have been here for a long time. So as I read through the various ways to give, it seemed to make sense. Keep in mind now, I'm really a low-tech, aging kind of guy. And I may not be alone in that. So as I happen to glance at the QR code, there's a dinosaur in the middle of our QR code. How long has that been there? It couldn't have been there every week. Maybe the AV team kind of changes it. Was it a flower, a tree, an ocean, a river, a zebra, a blue hen? What has it been? Well, I thought, I've got to get an answer to this. So we were near the end of the service, and I thought, I know, during coffee hour, I'll find a member of the board or the ET, and I'll ask them, what's up with the dinosaur? No, they're in the middle of a stewardship campaign. They've got more important things to worry about. So as I was driving home that Sunday, I thought, I know. I'll go to the oracle of truth, the internet. And now, so not being trained on the keyboard, I was very glad that QR was easy to spell. And my research revealed that a lot of those codes, over 30% of it, is dedicated to redundancy, stability, and sometimes used as branding. I thought, well, if we were supporting the Extinct Wildlife Fund, that would make sense. A dinosaur. Surely there's got to be an answer. I happened to be at a meeting shortly afterwards with John Claney of our AV team, and I said, John, what's with the dinosaur in the middle of the QR code? He said, Google put that there. I thought, aha, the ubiquitous Googlesaurus. So I said, but John, I understand it's for branding, and we generally can't change it. He says, Google doesn't care. In fact, I'm making plans to change it to a chalice. So you hear it first. We're going to change that dinosaur to a chalice. Look for it in the weeks to come. Thank you, John. Today's offering is a special offering. It will go to the Lutheran Community Services, which helps individuals and families address food, housing, and other essential needs with dignity and respect. LCS has been serving low-income families in Wilmington and Newcastle, Delaware, since 1959. We as a congregation give to the good work of this organization to support the food pantries, housing stability, and health services that they provide. Your gift will keep the mission strong so that, unlike the dinosaur, it will persevere today and into the tomorrows to come. Thank you for your generosity. The ushers will wait upon us for our gifts. And will you please now join me in dedicating this morning's offering? To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings. Listen now to these words by Laurie Stevens. We extinguish this flame, but not our focus. We quench this candle, but not our quest. To observe this splendid world, to witness to each other. These we continue all the moments of our lives.
Just a few quick announcements before our benediction and our closing song. We're almost there in our stewardship campaign. We've got about 100,000 more to reach our goal. Can we get this wrapped up today or this week? Because we're needing to plan our programming for next year, so we need to know what we have available in order to make those plans. How was that as a plea? Did I get the message across? Okay. You thought I was what? So seriously, it will be helpful in terms of our timeline. If you haven't yet pledged, you're joining us online or you're here today to do so this week. Another announcement that I have. Oh, reception for new members following the service. Please join us for that. So our closing words I've adapted from Reverend Victoria Safford. You are the beloved of the holy of wholeness. It is so easy to forget this. Our calling on this earth is to remember and to remind each other. With every move we make, every action, every breath, our calling is to remember and to remind each other without ceasing who we are and what, which is beloved. So may it be. Let's join together in our closing hymn. Hear the call. The words will appear on the screen. The choir will sing it once, and then we'll join in singing.
Listen in